Hello and welcome everybody to the Dental Leadership Summit uh, podcast that is going to be flipped today. I have my friend and colleague Jill Hasselmann here today. We're actually talking about the 10-year anniversary of our summit. And in order for me to not sound like a blowhard and an idiot, I'm actually going to get interviewed about the summit in the last 10 years and how we got here. So, Jill,
Thanks,
hello, welcome.
Amy. I've got some
Um,
riveting questions for you, really hard
Great.
hitters. So I'm excited to be here. And 10 years is pretty crazy. And looking back, most people say that somebody who wants to throw a conference is absolutely insane because event planning is tough. And so, what the heck made you even want to start this in the beginning? Because I think it's important for our audience to know that you really did start this. And so, why did you ever want
Yeah,
to do that?
yeah. So perfect first question because you're absolutely right. If I had known how hard it is to put on an event like this, I would have probably never done it. So our original intent was a much smaller scale. We were looking to find a place for growing practices, small DSOs, emerging DSOs to come together and be allowed to ask questions and or to learn about things that they hadn't really learned or known before. So the first event we had about, like I said, 10 years ago was about 25, 28 attendees, so very small, with a couple of speakers. And really it wasn't anything where you look at the event that we have today, where there's multi-day with food and entertainment, et cetera, et cetera. We had a steak dinner the night before, and then we had four speakers, right? And the speakers were a lawyer, a marketing professional, a real estate agent, and a banker. And so they spoke about their subject matter expertise, and then we had a guest speaker from a DSO, and that was it. And at the end of the day, we got a standing ovation because these people had learned something. And we were standing in the back going, okay, we will do this again. And then the next year it got bigger and bigger and more and more. And all of a sudden we were like, eggs are really expensive. People want to eat. So that's how we got here.
And there are now 10 years later, a lot of conferences out there.
Yeah.
And, this is, I think, we've been saying this on the HR for Health side for a few years. Now you're seeing on LinkedIn, people are finally kind of cluing in of there's a lot of different events out there.
Yeah.
And obviously ours is the best, but compared to all of the other conferences or, maybe not even in comparison, but like what do you think really makes this one different and special?
I think that the number one thing is yes, we're hosted, we have this under the Edge of Health banner, but we are not a a product specific event. There's a lot of events that are around a either specific product and or a what I would call vertical within the healthcare or the dental space. And we are actively looking for both topics and speakers that are both interesting for the entire industry, but also very important in being trendsetters, being informative about what's going on in the marketplace for various things. Look, 10 years ago, no one was talking about AI, and this year we have multiple speakers in the AI field that are truly market leading. That's what we're talking about. Like while we employ at HR for Health an AI solution. That is not what we're doing at our event. We're trying to educate our dentist attendees for them to learn something that they didn't know about. So I think that is really what sets us apart. And then the other thing is that we're looking for interesting speakers, people who are not going to events professionally from one event to the next and say the same five things. We're looking for hands-on frontline executives or people that are getting the job done, and for them to share their insights. So those are really the things that we're looking for.
Yeah, I think that the speaker aspect absolutely has to be highlighted. I think, are very different from that perspective. And so many events, you see the same people on stage over and over. and or at that singular event year over year, they're at that same event on stage. And so it can get a little stale, and
Yes,
that's not what we want.
that's right.
Yeah. Why do you think people come back besides wanting to see us?
Yeah, well, so there's that. We are awesome, but no, I think like seriously, it is that we don't repeat, right? Like while we have certain segments that repeat, within the format, we very much are looking at what is topical, what is happening today. Um, you know, like 5, 6 years ago, we had a lot of interest from both banks and private equity firms that were interested in the marketplace for the first time. And as a lot of these emerging DSOs and or doctors know now, there is a drastic change happening on the financial side of things. And guess what? Private equity firms to an extent have moved on. So there's always something new, something different. As I mentioned, AI is one thing, but I think that there's an underlying current of improvement. And if you don't find that and or find the speakers that have the topics that will capture you to make it look and sound different, um, people will not come back. And we do have that, right? And we do have those speakers, and we have those elements that I think make people go, yeah, I want to come back. And no, I am coming back. So we do have some some attendees who have come back multiple years and or 4 or 5 times. So
What is your favorite success story from somebody who has attended before?
that's a great question. Okay, so I have one. Well, okay. There's one where it's the kind of behind the scenes story, right? Where we consider ourselves Switzerland as this event. And what I mean by this is that we don't do exclusive deals. We allow for multiple companies that are in the same area to come in and essentially like participate in our event. And at one of our events, we were able to bring together a DSO and a vendor that hadn't been able to I don't know, like kind of see eye to eye, and we essentially said, look, there's a conference room. We turn on the lights. We close the door. And you get to talk, right? At the end of the day, they came out and had a deal done to become their new distributor. So those are the kinds of things that are happening on the side. So I would call that, it's like the politics that happen on the side. The other thing I have to say I'm really proud of is that we for the last 5 years now are partnering with Group Dentistry Now. They are an amazing tool of education and journalism in our industry, and they have a award that they announce every early part of the year, and then the award ceremony is on stage for us. Seeing emerging DSOs come and win an award and then actually succeed and grow and become really successful and trendsetters. I mean, look, I never thought this would be something that would be doing, would be partnering with, but here we are, right? Like Bill Newman and us, we have been doing this for years, and it's fantastic, right? It's amazing to see these young entrepreneurially driven doctors coming in and succeeding and telling their story. I mean, that's a great success. I love being able to say that. So, and
Yeah.
that's I said we are Switzerland. We're not exclusive, but we're doing this exclusively, which is great.
Yeah. We pick and choose where it's exclusive.
That's right. That's right.
How would you say the event has changed since you first started it?
Yeah, so I'll be honest, we have learned a lot, right? Like so we started out small and grew with the industry, right? Like so there was a natural progression, I would say, where in like year 3, 4, 5, vendors and sponsors found us and asked if they can participate. And we created an entire environment around our event where we could say, okay, so if we get sponsorship money, we can still keep it free and or cheap for our attendees. And that allowed us to grow because the industry was growing. I think until about 3 years ago, that was a concept where we're like, okay, the sky's the limit. Let's see how far this goes. And then we hit like so. Two years ago, we were in Austin, Texas, and we were over 500 attendees. And while that is small for a dental society meeting in California or in Illinois, for a specialty meeting like ours, where we're talking about a specific subgroup of emerging DSOs, 500 attendees is a lot. Because when you're talking to 500 people, there are maybe 25 people that you know, or maybe 30 or 40. And so the ability to share and the willingness to share is definitely something that was, I'm going to say, hampered. So we realized that bigger is not necessarily better. And so last year was the first year where we're like, okay, so we're maximum, or how do I say that? We're going to put a lid on the size, right? Like we're not going to go any bigger. And so we're now looking to have between 300 and 500 DSOs and DSO attendees max. Frankly, I'd rather have it on the 300 to 350 attendee size and have a limited number of sponsors and have really high end, super interesting speakers to make it more like touchy feely is the wrong word, right? Like, but I want it to be.
HR company.
Well, yeah, I know. So we're not touchy feely. So, but we are. What we want to do is create this environment of trust and open willingness to share information, because I think it's really hard for someone who doesn't know the audience and or doesn't know anybody in the audience to be willing to open their kimono and go like, this is what I did wrong. And that's what we ask people when we do our DSO diagnoses, right? Like these doctors are very successful, but at the same time we're saying that's great. Nobody cares about that. What they care about is how did you screw up and how did you get over that and what did you do? Because that's how you learn, right? And when you get so big that you can't see the back of the room, then you will not share, right? Like, and so that I think is where the arch has kind of like really gone, where we're like, we're happy to be at the size that we are. We're happy to be with who we are, and we'd rather have a smaller environment that is trusting and that is engaging than saying, yo, we got 2,000 people here, because that really is just it. The quality is not given with the quantity.
Yeah. Fostering that sense of community in the event.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
And you know this, like, because you're working in that environment, right? Like you do partnerships for us, and or you bring a lot of interesting speakers to us all the time saying, look, I heard about this or spoke to this person, and you are the one who is enthusiastic about them. So we want to foster that.
Yeah. And especially on the speaker side, I think that we might be one of the only, if not the only conference that a lot of our speakers are really good, but it's like the first time they've been given an opportunity to speak. Like it's their first time
Right.
on stage and they do amazing. And I've seen these people now get asked to like do other conferences. And so that
Right.
feels good too.
Yeah. Yeah. Look, I so agree, because I think that around that is look, there are a lot of really polished speakers, which is fantastic and good for them. And you trained and you worked hard and this and the other. I got to tell you, if I find a subject matter expert who really knows how they can solve problems and they are passionate about that, that comes across on stage. I don't need you to be a polished speaker. I need you to know what you're talking about the subject matter that you invest your time and effort in. And that comes across, right? And yes, like I'm happy to shepherd that and or drive that forward, and that's what we're looking for, right? Like I think that's really important.
Okay, I have to ask, why the heck, 10 years into this event, did you decide to change the name from DSO Leadership Summit to Dental Leadership Summit?
Yeah. So excellent question.
Very confusing.
It's yes and no, right? Like, so we want to be inclusive for everybody, right? I think that there is a misconception when you use those three letters, DSO, that there is only one direction and one business type that we cater to. And that was never my intent. That was never our intent. And so we had internal discussions around this, and when you build a brand for years and years and years, and everybody knows the DSO Summit, like it's kind of painful to change. But that said, we want to be inviting to everybody that considers themselves a large single group and or a multi-location group that is on their way up. So that's why. That's really the reason why.
Makes sense. What do you think is the most common misconception about our event?
Yeah, so I think that is it's in the same vein as what I just answered around the DSO Summit versus Dental Leadership Summit is we want to be inclusive to everybody. And number two is like we're both wearing logos, right? Like HR for Health, right? Like the fact is that we're not an HR specific event. We are an industry specific event. We are an educational specific event. Is there going to be some stuff around HR? You bet there is. We're experts in that. So duh, of
And
course.
there should be at every event.
Exactly. But obviously we're not just an HR event. We're a science forward, we're an education forward event. So that's what we want to do.
Great. Well, I can't wait.
Yes, thank you.
I'll be there.
Yes.
Thank you for letting me crash your podcast and take over as interviewer. And hope we all see you there.
Yes. For those of you, just in closing, we are in, like I said, Salt Lake City at the Grand America Hotel. It is October 23 through the 25th, and which is a Thursday through Saturday. So see you all there. Bye all.